It's not about your skill and your talent. The pressure that I put on myself, no one has worked harder than me. And I'm Canadian. When you're born into this country playing hockey, you don't have a choice. That is the mentality that you grow up with. From 7 till 10, I'll rip your head off. Are you willing to go there?
PK Subban is a retired NHL player, a 3-time All-Star, Norris Trophy winner, and Olympic gold medalist. Subban is a dedicated philanthropist, entrepreneur, and currently an NHL analyst on ESPN.
What do people maybe not understand about what life is like as a professional athlete at the level that you played at?
It didn't come easy for me. It happens when everybody's sleeping and you're still training. The loneliness of that is when you're in that room, that dark room alone, and you feel that success and you realize what it takes to get there. You understand that success and the price of winning and leadership is a lot higher than people really think. Like, you look at Michael Jordan, look how lonely that guy was. That level of greatness isn't easy because guys have to sacrifice a lot to get there. I don't think normal people would be willing to do that.
If this was a book,
Yeah.
what chapter in your life are we in right now? We find it very interesting that the majority of you who watch and listen to this show aren't yet subscribed to our channels across Spotify, Apple, YouTube. It would mean the world to us if you can do us that small kindness. It allows us to continue to bring on amazing guests week after week and continue to provide you with amazing value and content. It's the only thing we'll ever ask of you. If you can hit that follow or subscribe button, it would mean the world to us. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode. Salmonism, so salmon, eh? That's your go-to.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps you stay lean. Was that your meal? Was that your go-to while you were playing?
No, you know, when I was playing, it was always a challenge because, you know, it was a challenge between trying to fuel yourself, and then also like not just fuel yourself, but body composition wise, like, you know, because everybody's different. Right, so I have really dense muscle tissue. So even though guys at pregame meal would eat a lot of pasta and do all that stuff, I would do it because all the other guys are eating it. So this is what I'm supposed to eat. But technically, that wasn't what was best for me. So, you know, I had issues putting on weight during the season, and a lot of times that came from my pregame meals, like, you know, and I finally met my nutritionist, Dr. Gaglia, in LA, and he kind of straightened me out. He figured out what my system was. He's like, dude, like, there's 3 types of people. Some people need 33% fat, 33% carbs, you know, 33% protein. Some people need 50% protein and 25% fat and 25% carbs. So everybody's system is different.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what your system is. And once you understand your system and the way your body works, then you get to fuel it exactly for what it needs. And that's when you see the difference, right? That's when now the discipline now becomes a lot easier because you know that it's working.
Yeah.
Like you're now you've broken it down to a science. So when it comes to a science, I'm going with salmon. Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? I got some salmon at home I'm excited to dig into after this. But PK, welcome to Gent's Talk. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
All right.
I have seen you on TV.
Yep.
Obviously playing in the National Hockey League. As a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, you know, you played for a team that I wasn't a fan of in Montreal, but it was always interesting and fascinating to watch you play because you were like a lightning rod. You were constantly in the news for good reasons, bad reasons. You were very outspoken. You have a very loud personality. And I loved seeing that, by the way, just for the record, because I think hockey in general needs more of that. But since your playing days, you're a commentator, you're an entrepreneur, you've got a partnership with WeCook, which is how this conversation is happening. And I think the first thing I want to ask you here is, if this was a book, what chapter in your life are we in right now?
Oh, well, I get asked that same question when I was playing, you know. After my first year, like, you know, if you could write a book today, like, where would you be in your career? Like, you know, you've done so much, or this, or you accomplished it, where were you at? And I always used to tell people, like, I don't think I've played my best shift yet. I don't think I've had my best period yet, my best game, or my best season. And that's kind of my mentality. It's always been that way. Just because I don't know how you would be anywhere, any way else. It's always about what's in front of you. Past is depression, future is anxiety, and the present's the gift, right? That's why it's called the present, and that's why it's a gift, because that's all you're in control of is the moment, right? So I'm only in control of this moment right now. I'm not in control of anything else, After I'm done here, then I get to control what I do next, whether that's to go and take care of myself, whether that's to do nothing, whether that's to work. So I'm kind of like that. I'm like, I guess you could say I'm a purposeful person. There's no wasted time. If there's wasted time, it's like allocated wasted time. You know what I mean? Like,
by design.
Yeah. And I think that when I look at my career, it started at a young age, when I was 16, 17 years old, when you're playing and it's your dream to play in the National Hockey League, and you have kids come up to you and, they're not saying they're a big fan. They say that you're an inspiration. You have mothers come up and say that my son only plays hockey because he watches you and he looks like you. It just changes your approach to it, when you're playing for something and that you love to do, that's one thing. When you're playing because it's bigger than what you do, it's bigger than yourself, then that's another thing, because, it's a bigger responsibility. So, the responsibility to take care of myself, eat right, train, prepare, be constructive, be a positive example is not just for me and my family. It's for a lot of people that have supported me, that have allowed me to have, the financial stability that I get from, whether it's, marketing opportunities, endorsements, from my player contract when I played. Like, without the fans, you don't have any of that stuff, right? So that started with that kid when he was 16 saying that, I'm a big fan. So people rely on you. And I think when you have an opportunity, you can either knock on the door, you can, or you can kick it down and walk through it. And for me, I walk through the door, but I don't walk through it with any reservations. I don't, for me, what you earn is what you get. And I've always earned everything I've gotten. So I've never asked anybody for anything. I go out and earn it. And when you're going to do that and be your own man in your own business, then everything falls on you,
What or who instilled that type of thinking into you?
Well, it's look, without saying, I got great parents, a great family that's always been there, very supportive, very close family. But, like every other family, like, we're not perfect, but I think you got to find out what you're good at, And then the second part is, which is really the first part, you got to know who you are, If you don't know who you are in this world, it's hard to accomplish anything, because you don't know what it is to dig in. You don't know what it is to go after something that you love, because you don't know what you love, So I think first, loving something comes from being good at it, in my opinion. You can love something, but if you suck at it, you're not going to love it for very long. So, the key is to find out what you're good at. Some people have the ability to be good at many things. I think it's a mentality. It's a process of growth as a person to get to a place in whatever craft you're trying to figure out, whatever craft you're trying to become good at or make us, to make as a profession. As you hone that craft, you're learning life skills. Yeah. Right?
So playing in the National Hockey League, playing at the highest level that you played at, winning the awards that you won, that comes with a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of what people don't see. A lot of time that's not spent on the ice in front of the cameras, where you're doing the work mentally, emotionally, physically to get yourself ready to put your best foot forward. What do people maybe not understand about what life is like as a professional athlete at the level that you played at?
It's lonely.
Why?
'Cause it has to be, in my opinion.
It has to be. Interesting. Why?
I think so. I think so. To get to that level of competitiveness, I think so, because to go to that place, the reason why I can walk around, like, I don't need a trophy on the wall or a ring on my finger, anything like that, to know that when I step on the ice, what the other guys on the other team know, like what they know to expect, And for me, that's always been it, because when you learn how to play the game of hockey, that's the game. The game is, do you get the respect from the guys across the line or not? They don't always have to say it, but we know. Like, when you're on the ice, if guys respect your game or not. So, for me, to compete at the highest level, that's what you want, right? But to get to that elite level is something a little bit different, because that's the difference between going in the corner and saying, oh, I want to get this puck out and make a play. And there's a difference between going in that corner and saying, like, no, like, I'm willing to die to come out of the corner with that puck. Like, are you willing to go there? And for me, I've always been willing to go there. Sometimes it doesn't always come out the way that I want to, but I don't care. This is hockey. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose a battle by any means, because to me, that's non-negotiable. That's the thing about the game that it demands of you if you want to get to that level. And when it comes to the loneliness part, that's the mental part. That only happens in the gym. That only happens in your training. That only happens in your preparation. It doesn't happen with your girlfriend being around. It doesn't happen with your buddies and hanging out playing video games. Like, it doesn't happen at the bar on a Saturday night. No, it happens when everybody's sleeping and you're still training. It happens when, you're getting treatment on the table on a Friday night when everybody else is eating dinner at the bar. Like, so that's why I have the respect for the McDavids and the Crosbys and these guys, because that's the language they speak. That's the only language I understand. So that mentality, you take it and apply it to media and what I'm doing, my attention to detail. Yeah, no one is going to be more prepared for their job than I am, because I've been doing this my whole life and I know what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm going to take the same mentality that I took to training, the same mentality and detail that I took to my preparation for my craft, into what I'm doing now. Now, it doesn't mean that every hockey player is going to learn, take the mentality from hockey and apply it to everything in life and it works, but I think you can tweak it a little bit. So back to my point, the loneliness of that is when you're in that room, that dark room alone, and you feel that success and you realize what it takes to get there. You understand that success and the price of winning and leadership is a lot higher than people really think. And that's why there's only a handful of winners, like true winners. Like, you look at Michael Jordan, as much as he did that with a team, like, look how lonely that guy was. Like, look at, like, that's the epitome of it, right? But, like, look at the demand on one singular person. Like, he had to retire halfway through his career because it's such a demand, So that level of greatness isn't easy. It's not for everyone, but that's why you have a lot of respect for it, because guys have to sacrifice a lot to get there.
In the moments where, like any other professional athlete, the highs and lows of your career, maybe you're not performing as well as you'd like, maybe you're battling an injury and you're just not performing to the ability and capability that you can. Sometimes when you're at the level that you were playing at, there's a lot of criticism for that, from fans, from media. How did that affect you? How did you were you able to block out the noise? Were you able to push through it? What worked for you? What didn't?
It didn't affect me. I can put it out. I can say it flat out. It didn't affect me negatively. And I don't know how many people would give me pushback on that. My time there, I had a great relationship with the media, I'd say, in Montreal and in my career. I'm sure there's a few times I have riffs, but, like, it was actually pretty fluid. And I never felt the pressure, because to me, the pressure that I put on myself to train and prepare before, forget even getting to the rink, forget even putting on the jersey, forget the draft, all of that. Like, the pressure that I put on myself to train and prepare for that, not one single fan in the building and not one single player on the ice has put that much. No one worked harder. Like, the way I look at it, no one has worked harder than me. So that's my mentality. So when I have a bad game, like, it's not about working harder. Like, from 7 till 10, I'll rip your fucking head off. I don't care. 7 till 10, I'm giving everything I got.
Yeah.
That's all I have to give. So the only question I'm going to ask myself is my preparation. Well, my preparation is why I was there in the first place. So if my preparation's on, I'm leaving it all on the ice. Yo, it's not your day. Well, I want guys that are angry to lose. Look, dude, the game's from 7 till 10. I don't want you angry at 10:30. How does that help us? How does that help the team? Angry to lose. No, I want you to get angry to win. You want to win, show up from 7 till 10. When the game's over, though, park it and go. I always, I spoke to my mentor about this, that my best nights of sleep were after my worst games. I slept the worst after my best games.
Why?
Because you're on such a high. And like the thing is when you taste blood, you want to drain. You want their throat. After you take their heart, then you want the throat, and then you want to eat the legs, then you want the whole thing. So it's like I want to go back and play them again the next day. So when you have a tough game, it's easy for me to sleep because I feel sorry for the next team that I got to play after that. Like for me, it's just like, okay, well, I know tomorrow's a new day.
Right.
So today wasn't my day, and I think that was always my mentality, was that my confidence in my ability. You're either that good or you're not. You can't fake it. The league will humble you. Over time, people will know that you're a fraud or not. And for me, I knew I wasn't a fraud. Like I knew at the end of the day, I would leave it on the line. Whether I would win or I'd make the play or I'd miss the shot, I knew that I was going to give my team and myself an opportunity to win. And you have to be elite to be able to do that in the National Hockey League, NBA, NFL, or Major League Baseball. And when you know you're an elite player, you have the confidence that you're going to get it done.
What's that little difference there between being a good player and an elite player?
Well, are you good? like, do you know you're good, or do you just say that you're good?
Right.
You know, like anybody can go and say that they're good, but can you back it up? Like, do you push your limits? Like, do you challenge yourself? You know, everybody always asks me about my confidence, but I was telling myself I was that good before I was even that good. So the reality is what's your mentality? Are you going to win at all costs? Do you want to die? Like, will you die in the corner for that puck or not? You can't fake that. Like, I'm going to know. I got 60 minutes. I'm going to find out a lot earlier before the game is over whether you want to go into that corner or not. And you know what? Now the question isn't whether you're going to go in the corner. It's whether you're going to come down my side at all. Like, that's the mental game that I'm playing. So, you know, it's some guys are playing a different game than others. You know, Sidney Crosby, a perfect example of that, if I'm going to take a pivot away from myself into somebody who I know really well and have a lot of respect for and respect his game. But, you know, that was the mental game that I saw with him. You know, everybody goes on the ice and watches the plays that he makes, but they have no idea the mental game he's playing. He's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. You know, and I know that because I used to talk to him on the ice all the time. I wanted to talk to him, and those guys never want to talk because he's so good. If he just stays focused, he's getting his 3 points, and they're winning 4-2, and he's skating off the ice unscathed, and his first star, and Crosby's waving everyone in Pittsburgh. And my job is to change that, is to somehow, out of the 1,500 games and 1,300 games that he's played, is that night to make sure that maybe he's third star instead of first star, or he's not a star at all. And to go out and do that, it starts here. You can't, it's not on the ice. So how do you get that? It's training. It is training. There's no other way to get it. People want to make training easy. Training is not supposed to be easy. Winning is not supposed to be easy. Leadership is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to be painful. Yeah. So if you can't get over that, if you can't wrap your head around that at a young age, then you're in the wrong profession. You know, nothing's easy. Like, you can't win anything without doing that. You don't have a choice, right? And so in hockey, you can do all the right things, push your body, and not win. So what you take pride in is the process in which you got there. It's not the result. The result's a team sport, right? You need everybody to contribute, but the process in which you get there to give yourself an opportunity, you know, that's the part that I pride myself on, because you do it any other way and you will have regrets, you know?
Is there a particular player, coach, mentor throughout your playing career that really stood out for you as someone that taught you how to show up as a person, as a player?
You know, I wouldn't talk about a specific coach because I have a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have helped me.
Sure.
So I wouldn't want to put it to one thing, but I will say this, like being Canadian, the more and more, like as the years go on, and you know, I live abroad, I live in the U.S., I come back, obviously. My family's here in Toronto and I'm building a house here, but you know, when I come back here, it's always interesting to talk to people and get a feel for home again. And then when I leave, I watch hockey, and you know, I watch more hockey now than I've ever watched. And I'm watching Four Nations, I'm watching World Juniors, and you know, above it all, because you're in the fight, and I'm Canadian, you know, so I went to World Junior gold medals, I won Olympic gold medal, but why are we the best? Like, what makes us the best? You know, and there's a big difference between being Canadian and being from any other country. And I see it. It's like something you can't explain. It's that thing about like when the puck's in the corner, are you willing to die for that puck or not? Like, you can't teach that.
Right.
Like, you can't teach that. And as a Canadian, when you put that jersey on and we step into the locker room, you don't have a choice. Like, if you don't have that, we can smell it. Like, guys know you're not all in. Like, guys know you're not all in. And that's demanded from the country, from a teammate, man to man. So when you're born into that, into this country, playing hockey, that is the mentality that you grow up with, is to, you know, leave it all on the ice, is to get up off the ice when you get hit and not act like you got shot and we got to bring out a stretcher. Like, that's the Canadian way and mentality. It's team first, it's head down, it's whatever it takes, it's blocking shots, it's fighting, it's humble. We're not looking for adulation, we're only looking for winning. And it's whatever it takes to win. That is the strongest culture in hockey that I've ever seen. Like, you could talk about any country you want, there's no other country that has that.
Right.
And that's what they're up against. So when we talk about Sweden, US, Russia, Germany, any of these countries, they could beat Canada in a game, but when the chips are all on the table, that's what you're up against. That's the culture. So when you talk about it, for me, that mentality I take everywhere I go. When I step on the ice, I'm Canadian. It don't matter if I'm working in the US or not. That mentality is coming out. So if you don't pack a lunch, you might be surprised at what happens in the corner. If you don't pack a lunch, you might be, because that's what's been happening to me since I stepped on the ice at 2.5 years old. Right. So it's also that part of it. And I think that Canadian players have that edge. And I've been definitely blessed with that edge. That's why I'm a proud Canadian, because without it, I don't know if I'd be the same hockey player, you know?
Did you find the transition from being a professional athlete into no longer being a professional athlete was a challenge for you? I've had a number of athletes on talk about that transition piece becoming a central tension point in their identity. I'm no longer that pro hockey player that's playing for X team, and now I have to go do something else with my life. Did you find that that transition was difficult for you?
It wasn't difficult because I've never seen myself as a hockey player.
Oh, interesting.
You know,
So what'd you see yourself as?
No. Like, listen, a very proud, you know, hockey player.
Sure.
Love the game. I think it's evident that I still love the game. But I always thought of myself as someone who had multiple layers. I just didn't, you know, I didn't think that that I could just only sit down and talk about hockey. You know, hockey's something that I love tremendously, has given me a lot, something that I put my whole life into. But I've always been a guy who's had multiple interests, you know, and it's not video games or fishing or anything like that, but like in business, in art, you know, in design, in all those things. So, you know, that has also made me a better hockey player, right? So, yeah, I guess you could say that the transition was really easy, you know, really easy, because, you miss the locker room with the guys. Like those are things that you knew you were going to miss, though. Like you knew you were going to miss that when you started playing the game. When you first started hanging out with the guys, you're like, oh man, I'm going to really miss this when I'm not playing anymore. Like we all do, right? So that's not going anywhere. You're going to miss that when you're 40 or 50. The other part is that when you're accustomed to playing the game a certain way, I have such a respect for the game. So like I would only go to the rink a certain way. I'm only going to go and play with a certain mindset. I'm not going to put myself in a position to do it differently. And, that's my independence. I earned that. Like, not everybody gets to do it. Not everybody's has earned what Sidney Crosby has earned. Not everybody has earned what McDavid has earned. So, as much as you can play 20 years in the National Hockey League, like, I was happy with those 13, I mean, would I have played a couple more to try to win a cup? Sure, but I wasn't going to bounce around to 50 million teams to do it. Like, that's not my style,
Does it bother you that you didn't get the chance?
No, because you got to look back at the years. Like, when people ask me about, like, does it bother you? It's like, dude, go look at those 840, 60-something games or whatever it was and 96 playoff games. Like, go watch that. And you tell me what you see, because what I see is, like, just leaving it all on the ice. Whether you think I was a great player or not, or liked my game, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I left it all on the ice. Now, if you want to get into numbers and comparables, then we can get into all that. But I don't think a lot of my detractors would like to do that. I think they'd rather let it sleep and let me ride off into the sunset. But no, I'm, it's great to be able to contribute to the game now. And I think that's what I get excited about, is being able to have a role in helping the game and helping the players is really satisfying for me, because it's what the game needs. I think that to be a part of a group that can help the game in a way, and being an ex-player, I mean, players talk about it all the time. They get annoyed with the media. I'll tell you what they say. Media don't do their job properly. They don't do their research, and they're idiots. You know what I mean? They're just not smart people. Well, I beg to differ. I think they are smart people. I think a lot of them do the work, but some of them don't, and some of them in important positions don't. So, as an ex-player wanting to be on, I'm always going to be a player. So you're probably never going to hear me go on and bash a player or throw a player under the bus. I'm not a scumbag. I'm not an insider. I'm not looking to expose. I'm not looking for that. I don't need to do that. What I'm looking to do, though, is, call it honestly, uplift the players and the product that we have on the ice, because that's my job. Whether I like the player on the ice or not, it's my job to talk about what's going on the ice and do it in a way where fans have an opportunity to celebrate our superstars and enjoy the game. So to me, that comes with a lot of value too. And, I think a lot of it came from Sidney Crosby. When I retired, he was the first person to text me, actually, which, speaks volumes. I don't even know if he knew that he was the first person, but he texted me, and he had sent me a long message and just talking about all the battles and, just the typical Sid thing. I'm not going to get into too much, but the other part was, he said, hey, dude, like, make sure you're around. Like, we need you around. We love having you around. Like, make sure you're around. The boys want to see you around the rink. And, I don't think he thought I was going to get this involved and he'd be seeing me this much. Maybe Sid wants to rethink that, but it was really cool getting that message from him, because, such a guy who I've battled against, but I think everybody knows I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he's accomplished. And when you hear that from your peers, that's important.
Sure.
That matters. Like, the other stuff doesn't really matter. That matters. And
the guys you went into battle with.
Right. Yeah. So being retired now and knowing that guys are supportive of what you're doing now and how you're helping them, because as much as I'm working and, I'm getting paid, I'm not doing this stuff for free, but it's helping them. Yeah. And I think that's what it's about. That's what I want other players to do when they retire, is find ways. If you can help the game, this is the game that's paid you, right? Yeah. So give back. And that's where my energy is now.
Well, speaking of giving back, you have a history of doing a lot of philanthropic work in Montreal and all your different ventures. Why is it important for you to give back to the various communities that you support?
It's important to give back. It's what I know. My family, my dad's principal for over 40 years. My mom raised 5 kids, both my sisters. My sister's a vice principal. My other sisters, getting her master's. She's been a teacher for, I don't know, seems like thousands of years. So my family's all educators. We all work with kids. But, more importantly, I think it's opportunity. Yeah, I knew all that stuff, but I also think that, I've never had a bad day. I have challenging days, but what's a bad day? I can show you a few bad days. I can definitely show you that. I can take you to the hospital. I can show you a couple people who've been living in bad days, But so for me, a lot of it is, this is all gravy. It's all icing on the cake. I'm very blessed to have my health and all that stuff. But more importantly, the hospital and my relationship with the Children's Hospital has been a source of energy, for me and everything that I do. You talked about the media and, how I've handled that and how'd you deal with all that pressure? Well, a lot of it was the kids in the hospital, and my relationship with them, because it didn't matter what anybody said about me. I always felt good about myself. I'm here playing hockey, doing what I love for a living in Montreal. I got, everybody here is it's humbling every night. Every time I step into the city, how people treat me. And, I'm going to get rattled over what some media guy is going to say about me, even whether he's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's a game at the end of the day, and as long as you know that you respect the game and you respect your craft and you're giving everything that you have and you're approaching it, you're prepared, you respect your teammates, you go out there and leave it all on the ice, that's all you can control. And I knew that, if I did that, I was going to like the result at the end of the day. So, but those kids and that, it's so important to me because I drew a lot of energy from that. For me, I don't think I would have been the same player if I was just playing for myself and my family. It had to be bigger than that, and it was bigger than that, even before I made the donation. So, I wanted to have something that was connected to me that, I could help people. That way, that showing up to work and going all out and be willing to die in that corner for that puck wasn't just about me. It wasn't just about my bottom line. It wasn't just about my teammates. It wasn't just about my organization. By the way, that's a good thing, guys. You want it to be bigger than that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's why I played the way that I played. That's why I was emotional in those big moments. That's why when the games got bigger, so did I. I was playing for much more, in my opinion. To me, I was playing for much more than just an opportunity to win the cup. And, that's what pushed me. I think a lot of times people don't understand that it's all mental game. It's all about tweaking your mind and your body into getting the most out of it. And,
how do you do that? How do you maintain a healthy mentality with the travel, the ups and downs, the injuries, all that noise around you? How do you maintain sort of a prism of just confidence and mental positivity?
I laugh because in a nutshell, you have to be insane. You gotta kind of be insane. You gotta be a little crazy. You do, because the ask, what you have to do that, I don't think normal people would be willing to do that. What I'm talking about, the constant edge, the mental edge that you always want to have. You got to remember in hockey too, we're not playing 17 games.
Nope.
It's not a sprint to the end of the season. It's 82 games where you might have to fight every night. That you might have a Tom Wilson trying to take your head off every night. So it's all chess. So yeah, there's games where I came out and I'm smiling, I'm having a good time. There's also games where the puck drops and that guy's getting the fucking hardest slash across his fucking wrist because I don't have the time for it today. I'm like, listen, if anybody hits me today, I'm breaking my stick over your wrist. So there were games I'd come out like that. That's just how it was. But everybody knows me as a fun, but that's my edge.
Right.
I still got to win. So tonight, this is how I'm going to win tonight because I have to win, right? We've lost 3 out of 4. And if I don't do this, no one's going to do this. So, you know what I mean? Our team needs that juice. So that's what the game demands. You can't do that in some other games. So in hockey, to be elite, you have to be crazy. You have to be a little bit crazy. You do. So you have to be willing to go where nobody else is willing to go. And you can't cross the line and hurt your team. So, you have to flirt with that. And that was one thing that, you know, like, I wasn't the biggest guy, wasn't the toughest guy, but I had to create time and space for myself. And, you know, sometimes that I had to cross the line. Sometimes I walked the line. Sometimes I did things for no reason, you know, just because I need space and time. And, you know, that's the way I am. I'm that type of dude. Like, it's like, you know, it's like there's like a switch there. It's like, come 7 o'clock, like, I smell the popcorn in the building, and I'm like, I'm going to ruin someone's night on that other team tonight. Like, someone's night's getting ruined, you know? And, like, there's something wrong with that. Like, you got to think about it. Like, it's one thing to be going and walking around a hospital and working with kids and foundations, and then you step on the ice and all of a sudden you want to ruin everybody's day. Like, that is a big switch. Like, I didn't have my family around me on game days because I know why. I know if my mom asked me to do something, I'm doing it. But I can't be in that emotional state. No. I'm not around my family right now. I'm going out there willing to die for the puck in the corner. So there was a big mental shift for me. I don't know if every athlete is like that or every hockey player was, but I was.
How did you turn that on? Was there a practice that you would do? Would you meditate? Would you just sit there? Would you go for a run? Like, what was your process?
When I was younger, I did a lot of different types of training. You know, I did a lot of long distance training.
Okay.
So, you know, that's a big part of the reason why I played so many minutes in the playoffs and why my second halves were so good. It's just naturally, it had nothing to do with my training while I was playing professionally. It had to do from when I was a kid. You know, I ran a lot of hills. I ran a lot of sprints. And I'm not the most athletic guy. Yeah, I'm in shape, and I've been playing sports my whole life. I call myself an athlete, but I'm not the most gifted. I don't jump out of the gym. I'll never wow you on the fitness testing. I had to work for all that stuff. Like, you know, it didn't come easy for me. So I did a lot of base training. A lot of hill runs, a lot of long jogs. I used to go for like 2-hour jogs in the morning, 2-hour at night. And then I got to 18 and my trainer's like, dude, none of this is like productive for your sport. Like, you're going 45 seconds. You need to be powerful, explosive. Like, we're going to change your training completely.
Yeah.
And that's when I dropped all the baby fat. That's when I started doing Olympic lifting. And that's when really my performance on the ice took off. But what people don't understand was that base training trained my fucking mind. Because when you're doing that, there's nothing worse than doing hills.
Nope.
There's nothing worse than doing hills. Chicopee Ski Hill in Kitchener, yeah, I used to run that one. Etobicoke Centennial, still, that hill still talks to me in my sleep. I'm living in King City. I can still see it and hear it. I look out my window at nighttime, I can hear that hill. PK. Oh yeah, I've been doing that, running those hills since I was 6 years old. So when I get on the ice and it's double overtime, like, I know that this guy from Denmark who's playing on the Bruins, I know he's not ready. He's not ready. He hasn't trained the way I've trained. He hasn't. When my dad's telling me to run the hills and he's like, there's a kid in Russia now who's sleeping and you're still training, he doesn't know what that is. Like, think about it. That's my mentality. You think that guy is going to stop me from getting the puck in the corner? You think he's going to stop me from getting, with my mindset, with the layers that I have and the training and the preparation that's gone into that moment? No, that's why I go into the corner, grab it, and put it between my legs. Everyone's like, how's a rookie do that? It's because I'm prepared. It's your preparation. It's not about your skill and your talent. Are you prepared? Is your body, is your mind prepared? People talk about your body and your skill, but is your mind prepared? What have you done for your mind? What edge have you gotten? So when I go to Crosby, I'll give you one more. Sure. When I go to Crosby, it's our first game. And I always tell this story, and I love to tell it because it gets me fired up, because this is really when I became a fan of Sid. This was like I was a fan of him in junior. Sports Illustrated, jumping through the air. He's got his skates tied. I remember that. And I started tying my skates like Sid. And then I got to the league and I'm like, I can't do anything like this guy anymore. But we're playing the first game at Consol Energy Center. It's the first game after we eliminated Pittsburgh at the Igloo. Mm-hmm. And first shift, and this is my rookie season. First shift, puck gets dumped in, whatever, it gets rimmed around. I bump it back, 1001, 1002, boom, I get hammered, right? And it's a late hit, but it's not late where it's dirty. It's not dirty. It's a message sending hit though, right? And it's funny because I didn't see who hit me. But so I get hit, and like halfway through the hit, I know it's him. Because I'm like, right away you think, who would hit me late? So I know who I'm on the ice with. And he's the only guy, I know it was him. So I get back up, but not to fight. I'm looking for him to see where he is. And I see him. He had already hit me, skated around the net, and he's going. So now I come, the whistle blows. I come around the pile, and a couple guys see me, and he knows I'm coming for him. And I skate right up to him, and I go, hey, Sid. I said, hey, dude, I've been waiting all day, Sid. And he goes, PK, I've been waiting all summer. So, like, that's Sid's, for me, that's the game within the game. So, when I'm talking about that kid from Germany, Denmark, from U.S., from Russia, from wherever, that's going into the corner with the puck, when I go in with Sid, that's who I'm going in with. Like, that's the guy I'm going in with. Think about how he's thinking. I shook his hand at the Igloo. He's telling me that he's been thinking about that all summer. That's the guy. So when I talk about Sidney Crosby, to me, that's excellence. That's elite. You want to talk about that small, why it's lonely? Well, that guy's dedicated to the game. I know he gives everything to the game. Because to train your mind like that, you have to commit to a certain amount of lonely time. Like, you have to. You have to eliminate the distractions because that's the only way to be that great. And, you know, that's what I respect. It's not for everyone. It's not. You don't have to do it that way, but I respect the guys that do because I know the feeling that it gives you. It's addictive. You know, what he's doing, what Ovechkin's doing, what McDavid's doing, it's addictive. It's a problem to be that good at your job, you know?
Was there a particular player that you, particularly in your role as a defenseman, was there another player that really stood out to you where you tried to model your game that you learned a lot of lessons from?
Defenseman, forward.
Open.
I would say on defense, I watch Markov a lot. And, you know, when I came into the league and I started playing with them, I used to talk to my coaches about it. I'll tell you, you know, like Marky, I got to play more like Marky. And they'd be like, no, we don't want you to play like Marky. We want you to play this way. But they didn't understand what I understood. You know, I watched Marky play growing up for the Canadiens. And I watched him play because my dad was a huge Canadiens fan. Mm-hmm. So my dad made me watch the team. And I always saw Markov, and I'm like, you know, here in Toronto, I have Thomas Caberlet. I got Brian McCabe. You know, Thomas Caberlet was a guy I loved to watch because I loved the way he moved around on the blue line, the way he moved, the way he was so mobile in the blue line. But then I think about him like Marky's mobile, but Marky's not, like, he's not the greatest skater. So now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so he's not the best skater, but how the hell is he able to put up 80, 90 points? How is he able to make those passes? Andrei Markov might be the best passer I've ever seen in the National Hockey League. Think about that for a second. Like, there's a lot of guys who are great passers. Mm-hmm. That guy might be the best passer I've ever seen. Now, I'm a little bit biased because I played with him, but I've never played with anybody who can pass the puck the way that he passes.
So what'd you learn from Andre?
Exactly. So when I came into the league, remember, I learned the game of hockey through basketball. My dad played basketball. My sister played basketball. You know, people talk about hockey. It's very, very similar to basketball. As a defenseman, you're a quarterback. So everything passing, I think that's probably the most underrated thing in my game. Like, that's what I take the most pride in, actually, is my passing. And Markov, playing with him, I learned so much from him. In terms of the poise and the patience. And, you know, watching him play allowed me to say, if I had two legs and couldn't skate, can I play on this ice tonight? So if Andrei Markov had like double knee surgery and he still played like another 6-7 years after, putting up crazy numbers. I played with him. I watched him do it. That guy is one of the smartest players I've ever seen in the National Hockey League, and you'll probably never hear anybody talk about it. But the guys that know, there's a reason why we call him the General. He don't say a word, but I'm telling you right now, no one can pass like him. So I learned a lot from playing with Marky. And I'm a bigger fan of him because I just feel that he doesn't get enough credit he just doesn't get enough credit. I don't know why that is. I think that during his time, you had the Nicholas Lidstroms and some great defensemen, but that guy, like, he's a guy that I think should have his jersey up in the rafters in Montreal. I mean, you know, we won a cup there. He probably does go up there, but you'll be hard-pressed to find a guy that I respect more than Andrei Markov in terms of his skill set. He's the best passer I've ever seen.
Before we started rolling, we were talking about nutrition. As a professional, when you're a professional athlete, nutrition is so important to how your body functions, your energy levels, your sleep, and it affects like all sorts of things like that. What was your nutrition like overall?
Nutrition had to be good for me. As a kid growing up, I was always a little bit chubbier as a kid, big boned, but like chubbier as a kid. So I had to get right around my nutrition, like right around the age of like kind of 16, 17, I started kind of trying things out. And then once I got to 18, I was kind of full on. And, listen, it's part of your growth. I was a late bloomer, so everybody else's body matures differently. For me, like, I always matured a little bit later, so I had to be patient with that. But nutrition, like, changed everything for me. Because the sleep stuff, like the inflammation, you don't understand, like, when you're putting certain things in your body. And like another thing is like alcohol, like as my career, usually as your career finishes, you drink more. Like for me, I don't drink as much. I never really drank a ton, but even now, and I notice a big difference. So for guys playing, now you got to watch all the inflammation. Inflammation is the number one thing. And, people talk about inflammation, but inflammation is also water and drinking water and flushing your system and flushing all that stuff out and making sure that you're eating, tons of veggies and things that can clean your blood and flush you out, because it's the inflammation over time. See, when you're young, it may not get to you when you're 20 or 21, but that inflammation adds up over the years, and it's very, very difficult to get rid of. So, that's just the details of making sure that you're eating foods that reduce inflammation. Inflammation brings on diseases, sickness, all that stuff. So, these are things that people don't know, but I do.
Well, I imagine you learned from experience going through it. You were talking about how, like certain body compositions would require different percentages of protein, fats, and carbs. What was yours? I'm curious.
Oh, man, I was 33, 33, 33. So, which is the best system, but the most sensitive. So it means that when you're in shape, it doesn't take you long to fall out of shape. So once again, somebody listening is going to be like, this guy sounds like a friggin' robot. He's so rigid and structured. I have to be that way. I don't have a choice. It's my body type. If I could get away with eating McDonald's and doing it, would I do it? Probably not. But you'd probably be a little bit more relaxed knowing that you could. Yeah. With me, I can't. I let my foot off the gas for a week, I can put on 10 pounds. Yeah. That's how my body is. So everybody's different, Now that was great when I was 18, 19 and I needed to put on muscle. Yeah. I didn't have to eat like some of these other guys, 7,000 calories a day and try to get it in. No, I was doing the opposite. They're like, dude, don't eat. Just work out, don't eat. So, I was 33, 33, 33. So basically balance of everything. Yeah. But the carbs we pull out. So, the carbs I still have in, but my carbs are like tomatoes, veggies. Like, I don't even do starches really. Yeah.
Same. I've cut out carbs now for a while. There was a period of time where I was strictly on a keto diet. Okay. Which was like no carbs at all. Now I introduce like a very nominal amount. It's like a low carb diet. Yeah. But it's just mostly proteins and veggies, and that's kind of the extent of it. But you notice a difference right away.
Big time.
Huge.
But once you get over that, once you curb that craving, because there's always a craving, right? Sure. And really what that craving is, though, is like your body changing. So, like for me, I always look at it like you got to make it a lifestyle. Like when people come to me and say, hey, dude, I got to lose weight. I said, no. Guys, you're coming to the wrong person. Don't if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm not the guy. Like, I'm all in. So when you're ready to go all in, then give me a call. Yeah. Then I can help you. But if you're going to complain about cutting stuff out of your diet or waking up to go to the gym at 6 a.m. every morning because you want to lose weight, you gotta be in the gym early. So being in the gym at 6 a.m. means you got to be in bed by 9, 10 o'clock the latest.
That's the
Are you
lifestyle
committed
change.
to that? Well, hold on. Before we even get to the eating, are you committed to going to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock and waking up at 6 a.m.? Because I've been doing that since I was a kid. Like, it's nothing for me to do it. Are you going to do it?
No.
So if you don't want to do that, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Then you obviously don't care about yourself that much. What do you mean I don't care? Well, put yourself first. You have kids, wake up at 4. Go to bed early. There's no excuse. You got to do it.
I agree
or
with
you
you.
die in this
Absolutely,
world. You
yeah.
got to take care of yourself or you die. So, you got to, I'm a little bit extreme that way with my lifestyle because I feel like you have to. You can't slip.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. There's times to have fun. You got to enjoy. You watch my Instagram. Trust me, I get lots of time to enjoy and have fun. But when it comes to the work and taking care of yourself, you got to take care of yourself. You can't mess around.
So why the partnership with WeCook?
It's a timing thing. And like I told you about lifestyle, outside of the timing part, obviously taking care of myself has been a lifestyle for me. Maybe I haven't looked at it that way because it's part of my job.
Yeah.
But especially now that I'm retired and it's like, okay, well, once you got to know who you are in this world. That's who I am. I don't want to be any different. I don't want a different version of myself. I like working out, like taking care of myself, like feeling healthy. So when the opportunity came to kind of be able to share a piece of that with my fans and share that with people and an opportunity to grow in the space, this is an industry where I have a lot to give because of my experience of taking care of my body and as a pro athlete. But here's the reality. We're all athletes.
Yeah.
Maybe you take the pro out of there, but you can still eat like a pro. So maybe you don't train like one, but you can eat like one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that will give you really good results if you eat like a pro.
I think people misunderstand when you change your diet. It makes a significant difference, even if you're not training, like you just said, like a pro athlete.
Okay, so you know why? Do you know why when you go into a gym and you see a bunch of bodybuilders, right? They're always like the nicest, most respectful guys. They respect the gym, right? They respect what they're doing in the gym. They respect the weights. You see, do you know why? Because they all started off like us.
Yep.
They started off with, they know. It's humbling when they look in the mirror and they see what they have because they know the commitment that they had to put into it. So don't cheat yourself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cheat yourself out of appreciating yourself. People don't love themselves because they don't trust. You got to trust and invest and bet on yourself. If you don't bet on yourself, like, hold on, as a woman, you don't want to bet on yourself and take care of yourself, but you want a guy to propose to you, to marry you? When you can't get up and take care of yourself every day? As a dude, you want a woman to respect you when you can't get up and take care of yourself every day? So you got to bet on yourself. You have to bet on yourself. And I think when it comes down to it, I always know that I'm going to get up out of bed and do the right thing. But it takes a lot to get there, and it's not hard to get there. It's a choice. It's a choice. And you don't have to go in the gym and lift 500 pounds every day to make that choice. You have to do a little bit, and listen, when I retired, I put on a ton of weight, just from sitting around, but I kind of wanted to, part of me just didn't want to go in the gym. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to chill for a bit. Like, I'm not doing any interviews. I'm going to hang out. So that's what I did for 5 weeks. And you know what? I put on 25 pounds. And by the way, I didn't do anything crazy. It wasn't like I was like doing anything nuts, like I was eating McDonald's every night. I was just eating and enjoying life. Well, guess what, guys? There's a price to pay for that. To go out and eat and enjoy life.
Yep.
It's not for free.
Nope.
It's, you know what I mean? Yeah, you might have the money to pay, but what's your body saying? Your body's saying, hey, you got to invest in me too. So now I'm sitting here being like, hold on a second. Why do I feel like this?
Yeah.
What is this feeling that I have? This lethargic feeling that I've never had before. Like, I don't want to get out of bed. Why is my gut and my clothes aren't fitting anymore? What is going on? What is this? What's going on? So when that happens, it's like, oh, this is not me. Like, I thought this was going to be way more fun, not doing anything. And it's not fun at all. Actually, it's borderline depressing.
Yep.
Sitting here. That's what depression is, to me, is getting fat, out of shape, not doing anything. Like, that's depression to me. So, it was great for me to be there. And I kind of laughed about it because, you know, I saw my mom at Christmas time. My dad's like, geez, like, man, you've been enjoying. And I'm like, I'm hearing that. It's like, for me, I'm like, these are people checking in on me to make sure I'm okay. But really what it's about is that I made a choice to take a break.
Yep.
In that break, I learned something that I'll never have to do again. Like, I'll never have to be like, I'm going to take 4 weeks off and chill because I know what that's going to bring me.
Yep.
But I also never did that before in my life. I've never taken 5 or 6 weeks off and did nothing and just let myself go. So it was nice to do that, but it also reiterated to me what my lifestyle is and what I want my lifestyle to be. So with WeCook, to have that opportunity and share something that to me reflects my life and the fact that I've always had to dedicate myself to taking care of myself, but it hasn't been easy. So I want to make it easier for the people that want to make it a lifestyle, that want to eat better, that want to have a part of that pro-life, that makes them feels that they got an edge on life, an edge with their kids. I got a little bit more energy today because I'm eating well. I got a little bit more energy for work because I'm eating well. I felt great today in the gym, and I think a lot of it has to do with how I'm eating. Well, great, because eating is like, that's going to be like 99% of it. The other part is the water, right? You got to drink a lot of water, but how you eat, you can't eat bad in this world. You just can't.
It affects every part of you.
It affects everything. So for me to give people not only nutrition, but confidence, direction, you know, that's what this partnership means to me. And, you know, I think it's the perfect time. I have the time for it now to really educate people on it. You know, when you're playing, it's hard to educate people. You're going a million miles an hour. Now I have the time to share a lot of that stuff with people that are interested in taking their lives to another level or just getting their life on the right track. And I think that we can accomplish a lot with this partnership for sure.
Well, when we were at that event together, where they were sort of introducing their different bowls and dinners and whatnot, one of the things that really stood out, that's the water, by the way.
Hey, for people that don't know, look, and I got this little strap here. We don't need to see the advertisement, but I got this strap right here, so it latches onto my my travel, my carry-on bag, and it's a roller bag, so it straps on there so it doesn't go anywhere. This is 4 liters, and as you can see, it's been through the ringer a little bit here, but I take it everywhere. 4 liters, I drink at least 2 of these a day.
Oh, amazing. So is that how much you should be drinking? 8 liters?
Listen, you can overdrink.
That is a thing.
You can overdrink. Well, you can overdrink, but the amount, I'm walking anywhere from base, it's 10,000, but now I'm at probably 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
I lift every day. I'm always walking around. I do Epsom salt baths every day. So I'm drawing a lot out. So I basically have to just keep drinking.
Yeah, to refuel, yeah.
But you need, I would say base level, for a guy my size, 6 liters.
6
at
liters.
least.
Okay.
At least.
Well, I was saying the dinner that we were at that WeCook had put on, I was chatting with some of the team members there, and it wasn't so much that they were just, hey, I work in marketing, I work in operations. All of those guys seem to be invested in the ethos of WeCook, like the lifestyle of it, the whole, we live this brand. We're not just producing a product.
Well, PKSS Management, I started my company when I was 23. Our tagline, it doesn't matter, facilitating authentic relationships through PK. I don't do partnerships that aren't authentic. If it's not potential for a long-term partnership, I don't need to do it. There's some short things that you can do that work for the right time, but in the lifestyle, this is also my name on it. My whole life has been about eating, performance, and taking care of yourself. So I wouldn't align myself with anybody unless it's something that I believe in, especially now. Especially now in my life. So, I'm excited about it because exactly what you said. It's lifestyle. And that's what people need now. People don't need you to just hand them something. They if you're going to hand them something, hand them a manual. Hand them a manual that shows them how to eat, how to take care of themselves, and now you're giving people real value because not everybody's a pro athlete like me.
Man.
Not everybody went and took anatomy and physiology to learn how their body works, and not everybody is that invested in it, right? So that was my craft. So what can I give to people now? And how can I make it easy? Well, let's start you off with this, an option. right? And then you can play with it.
Yeah.
Right? But I think WeCook, you're exactly right. It's a lifestyle brand. It's definitely the company that when I had the opportunity to be aligned with them, I got excited because I feel like we can really move the needle in the space and help a lot of people and grow. And I think, at my age and where I'm at in my life and my career, it just makes a ton of sense, So.
What else are you working on?
Oh man, I'm excited. We're going to have some exciting news coming up about my foundation.
Okay.
And what we do at the Children's Hospital. So we'll have some exciting news coming up in the next couple months, which has been great, obviously, since I started there. I have Ugly Duck, my production company. We have some really cool projects that I think will be coming to light. So I know Writers was on strike for a bit, but I do have some projects there. Obviously, we've done a few, but that could be an area where I think there's going to be a lot more stuff than people think. Is me not just being in front of the camera, but behind it as well. When I started my production company, I wanted to be able to tell like really cool stories, and I think I'm going to have an opportunity to do that and show what I can do behind the camera.
You want to tell meaningful stories.
Yeah, meaningful stories. Like, you listen to me. Anybody that follows me as a fan knows that if I put my stamp on something, if you're a fan of mine, you're going to want to watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put my stamp on something that's not an interesting one. I just don't need to.
Right.
It's a waste of my time. I want to do things that excite me. That like when a project comes across the table, like I want to work with the editors. I want to work with the writers. I want to help them write the story and play that role. And I think that's important if you're going to be involved. You can lend your name and be an executive producer and do all that stuff, which, is a part of the business, but I'm on the creative side on most things that I'm involved in. So, that's where my interest comes from. So
Amazing.
Whether it's production, my marketing company, design stuff, I think we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the fashion space as well. Getting creative around that. I think now there's so many different layers to what I want to do, and it's just kind of like I'm just taking it slow. I mean, it's not going slowly, but I'm taking it slow. I'm just, as long as I'm having fun and enjoying myself, it's great. I also don't want to feel like I'm overworked all the time either. So I just did that, but I'm having fun, and it's a lot of great things. I mean, I think to have retired and had 3 years and have as many buckets as I'm filling now is a blessing. Yeah. Well, it's a blessing, but I worked at it. I mean, I started my marketing company when I was 22. I started PKSS Management when I was 22. Like that's how many players are doing that, right? And running it. Yeah. So, I also had...
Do you invest in companies? Is that like your thing too?
Listen, athletes, I tell them, put your money in the bank. Guys, put your money in the bank. Save your money. Don't be investing in any companies. It's not about how much money you spend. It's how much money you save. Okay, athletes, you don't make this money forever. Put it in your bank. You're one divorce, one bad breakup, one bad investment away from having nothing. No, that's as real as I can be.
Yeah.
You can't afford to do it. You can't afford to have a bad investment. You can't afford to have a bad divorce. You just can't when you're a pro athlete. Not if you don't have other buckets and other things to do when you're not playing. So, with athletes, I keep it black and white with them. Save your money. Put it in the bank. Leave it in the bank.
It's good advice. I want to ask you one more question. You're a very... what's the word I'm looking for here? You carry so much knowledge from your experiences, and it seems like you're someone who's reflected on the things you've gone through and said, I'm parceling out the lessons from all of these and carrying them with me. There was a time when a young PK was just about to enter the league, and there's the pressures that come with it, and I know we talked about that, but there may have been a moment where a young PK could have used a piece of advice that he may not have gotten from anyone. Knowing what you know right now, if you had the ability to go back in time and talk to a young PK, what would you say to him?
Don't change. Because those are the people I remember throughout my career. The people that would come to me and say, hey, dude, don't change. Keep doing what you're doing. They'd be critical of like, hey, you got to do this better and stuff. But in terms of my personality and the person, those are the people that I respect. Because as much as they saw through everything and they knew why I was there.
Yeah.
And they knew that I wanted to win. And, those are the people that I think about, because those are the people that took the time, I don't know. It's like the patience that you have to have with your children, right? As a guy, right? I don't know if you have kids. You have kids?
No.
Okay. So one day the two of us are going to have kids.
Yep.
There's a skill that we have to develop when those kids come, to have the patience.
Yep.
Right? Well, it's the same thing. Like when you get new teammates and you're getting to know them, as you go on in your career, as you become older, right? When I go into New Jersey and I got Jack Hughes who's at 18, and you got kids that are coming out of college that are used to playing beer pong and frat stuff and they want to do this. And, they're coming out in the national. How do you expect those guys to know what you know when you take them out to dinner in New York City?
Yeah.
Like, no, you got to have the patience to teach them and walk them through it. And, so I look back at the leaders that had the patience to help me, the right way, right? And so does every player. Crosby looks back at the guys that took the time to help him. Mario had him live with him, like all that. Everybody's got their story. So I look back at that. I look back at the Serge Savards and, the Hal Gills and great teammates, Scott Gomez, guys that I really loved playing with that helped me. And, weren't always easy to work with because they were hard on me, but they knew that I had a big heart and cared and loved to play and wanted to win. And, that's where my passion came. So, I think about all those people and they were great.
Amazing. PK, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, man.
This was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciated your time. Learned a ton. You got a shit ton of energy, and I love it. You're so
dude, we
passionate.
could go for another 6 hours.
I believe so.
Well, this is why my team, this is why they got to control the media request, because it'll be nonstop.
I imagine.
It's just nonstop.
I imagine. But I appreciate you sharing your time with me. I know you're a busy man. You do incredible work. I'm excited to see what you come up with next with the production company, the foundation, WeCook, all of that stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like we got to do this again. Like
I think part two.
But we got to do it in this studio. Like I want to come back here. Can we come back here?
We can. Yes.
Okay. I want to come back here. I like the studio.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Problem.